Temba Bavuma has spoken to the media ahead of the Sri Lanka tour. He dealt with quite a few issues. He spoke about the SJN hearings, but he also spoke about what he expects in Sri Lanka from a playing perspective as well. Now, a lot has been going on in South African cricket this morning. That's why I'm sitting in front of you and my brain is going crazy because we've received obviously a statement from Mark Boucher from the SJN hearings, his apology for things that he was accused of. There was also a press conference by Temba Bavuma early this morning as well. So we're going to be covering that. And this video is all about that. We're going to be dealing with the press conference of Temba Bavuma, and we're going to be speaking about what he had to say. And we're going to mainly talk about from a playing perspective and what he had to say from a playing perspective. That's what we're going to be speaking about on today's show. It's a press conference reaction to Temba Bavuma. So let's get into it. We're going to be speaking about it in depth, myself and Aditya. We'll play you a couple of clips as well of what Temba had to say, some of the main things that he had to say. We will start obviously with the UAE and his comparisons to Sri Lanka, between Sri Lanka and the UAE. We're going to be speaking about what he thinks about the conditions in Sri Lanka from his experience. And there was an interesting question asked to him on whether he thought that they would be favorites, considering that South Africa's spinners have done really well in recent times. So don't forget to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics magazine. The monthly magazine is available to all of you for 100% for free. You can click the eye on the top of the screen to get that straight to your inbox every single month. All issues are free, including the issue currently. So go ahead, costs you nothing, guys, to get exclusive, entertaining content. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine, and this is your daily show. This is your press conference reaction. I'm your host, Hard Maiden. This is Aditya, my co-host, and we're going to be chatting about Temba Bavuma's press conference and give our reaction to what was said in the press conference. Now, there were quite a few things, as I said in my intro, there were quite a few things that were said. He dealt with playing conditions, he dealt with the team and how the team is feeling. He spoke about, of course, the conditions in the UAE compared to Sri Lanka. All of those type of things were spoken about, and as well as South Africa's last few performances. But if you want to watch the full press conference, it is available on the channel. So go ahead and click that. It's in the bottom on this channel below this video. You will see it on our channel, so you can go ahead and watch it there. There's also a piece by Aditya on the website, which covers basically the entire press conference, saying all the major highlights. So basically a highlights package of what happened in the press conference. But Aditya, this is the part where we actually chat about it and go deep with what was said in the press conference. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to start by playing the first clip that we have available to you, and we're going to talk about it quite in depth. So here's the first thing that we would like to highlight from Temba Bavuma's press
Yeah, I
conference.
definitely believe so. It is ideal for us to be put in that type of pressure, especially the batters. I think if I look at our performances of late, the bowling group has been very good. Bowling group has been stretched and they've adapted accordingly. And I think now the batters are also going to be put into that space where they're going to really have to test their skills and, like I said, adapt accordingly. And obviously looking forward at Dubai, where we expect conditions to be similar to Sri Lanka, where they'll favor the slower bowlers, the spinners. It'll be good preparation, good bit of experience from us to gain.
So very interesting points made. I think Aditya, great question from your part. Well done on that one. I always like to hear whether you're going to ask a question or not. I sit in anticipation while I'm watching. I don't ask you if you did or not beforehand because it's almost like a thrill for me. But to hear that you asked that question was excellent. I think, especially at the time that you did, because the conversation was kind of going towards the SJN and it was leaning towards that, and you brought it back on course because we got barely anything about the Sri Lanka tour, unfortunately. So this was so important that we got this, because there was a specific thing that I really like over there, and that is the part about the UAE and Sri Lanka speaking about the conditions, saying that they are going to be getting good preparation for the UAE conditions, and that is what is key for me, particularly from a batter's point of view. So I know that he said he spoke about our bowlers and he spoke about it being stretched well and all of those type of things, but I think the batsmen are going to get the best out of this tour, I feel. What is your thoughts on it, especially with the guys that have been selected?
Yeah, Temba was quite pleased about the timing of the tour because he believes that uh, the onus is going to be on the batting group to really adapt over time in different conditions, even when results haven't gone South Africa's way. Uh, the batting group is the one that has been rather inconsistent. The bowlers have found a way to adapt. And you look at South Africa's recent history in subcontinent conditions. The bowlers have done quite well. You know, they've been quite consistent in their performances, but there's been a lot of pressure on the batters to perform. And this tour, he believes, is an opportunity for the batters to put their hands up, find a way to score runs, because that confidence will then hold them in good stead while they prepare for the World Cup.
Now, there has been some team updates, a small one, only one really, besides obviously Charles Langeveld, who he can't travel because there's a little period that they need to wait. Sri Lanka have strict protocols, so they're going to have to wait. I think it's 21 days um, to before they can actually travel after being tested positive for COVID-19, or after being tested negative for COVID-19 if they were positive before. So there's a waiting period that they have to wait before they can leave, and as well as Junior Dala. So a lot of us on this channel actually we spoke about it. That was the one name that they were surprised to see in the setup, and some people questioned, I think Paul questioned whether why Lutus Sapamla has been basically left out, and now Lutus Sapamla comes back in for Junior Dala once again. I think this just proves that maybe it's meant to be. Maybe Lutus should just be given that spot immediately for the rest of the time, because I mean he's young, he's growing. He might as well just get that spot permanently, seeing that Junior Dala is getting towards the end of his career. I think the fact that they put him in the ODI setup and not the T20 setup, Junior, is something that maybe proves to me that maybe he's not in their future plans necessarily, because the T20 guys are supposed to be the best possible guys in South Africa that we currently have available to us. That's what I see it as. That the team that's going to Sri Lanka is majority of the best guys that we have available to us, or is actually all the greatest players that we have available to us, that they are seeing as the team that they're going to be taking to the UAE for the World Cup. So I think it's a good move to bring Lutus Pamla in. Yes, we could maybe say that we would have maybe wanted to see a guy like Michal Pretorius get an opportunity, or one of those all-rounders that we've all been speaking about, maybe a Marco Janssen, etc. So, but we've gotten Luto in the side now, and that's been confirmed. But let's talk a little bit about the what I said by Temba over here, because it's so important that we prepare well for the UAE. And I think that now Ireland, West Indies, and Sri Lanka all combined, I think they've all been perfect conditions to prepare us for the UAE. So from a conditions perspective, at least, South Africa will be prepared. They understand how they need to approach it on those wickets. Now, when it comes to maybe playing top opposition on that grounds, that's another story. That's going to be a completely different story when you play the likes of an England or an India, etc. In the UAE. If we do end up playing against one of those particular teams, eventually India, of course, we're hoping maybe in a final or something that we get them. Or I haven't looked at the whole road to the final and what we'll face, but from a Sri Lanka perspective, let's look at the opposition, Aditya. Who should we be worried about when it comes to the Sri Lanka team? Are there any notable omissions from the squad?
Yeah, well, Angelo Matthews has not been given a national contract, so he is effectively done with international cricket as it looks at the moment. Dinesh Chandimal has been recalled to the side. We know he's a veteran, and you can never count him out. He's always a very talented player. As is Suranga Lakmal, he's not in the side anymore. Dasun Shanaka, who was the captain for the India series as well, he continues. And obviously, Hasaranga is always going to be a threat because of his all-round abilities. And if our viewers haven't caught up with the IPL news, he's been contracted to play for RCB this year for the remaining part of the IPL. So Hasaranga is on a high. He had a very good tour against India, and he's going to be a significant threat to South Africa.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know yet, it's Aaron, one of the friends of the channel. It's one of his favorite players as well. He he's a massive fan of Asaringa. If I can speak on his behalf. Okay, let's move on to the next one because Temba was asked about whether he will be a whether South Africa will be favourites because of their spinners. Now, our spinners have bowled really well in the West Indies, and they bowled really well against Pakistan, and they bowled really well against Ireland, and they've been in incredible form currently, specifically George Linder and Tabrei Shamsi, and Bjorn Fortuin also showing what he's capable of as well. So the question was posed to Temba by one of the friends of the channel as well, Zahid Adams, where he asked whether they will be favourites in the matches in Sri Lanka because of their spinners. And this is what Temba had to
Yeah, I
say.
definitely have a lot of confidence in the spin. I mean, obviously, you've got a guy like Shamsi who's topping the rankings in the T20 stuff at the moment. So he's flying high on confidence. We've got Kesh as well. We know what quality he is. So I mean, with those two spinners, I believe that we can really more than just compete. We can really dominate in those conditions, and that's not forgetting having guys like Bjorn. Having guys like George Linder as well in our resources. So yeah, I think with those spinners, we can really be confident.
I think he said everything that we need to hear over there. The confidence that South Africa will go in because of the spin attack is very important. And I think that is going to be one of our things that are going to carry us, I think, going into the UAE. I think we need to use that as one of our focal points of confidence and to bring the guys up to scratch with regards to their personalities, etc., and how they're feeling. Because I think it will raise their confidence a lot and grow their confidence a lot leading into the tournament. Is particularly the guys and the people and the human beings that they are. Like Tabrei Shamsi, the type of guy he is as a personality, as well as George Linder, they are more of the calmer type of guys, but they're a lot more aggressive on the field or more passionate. They're very passionate on the field, but they're a lot more reserved when it comes to off the field. They're very calm, collected off the field. Bjorn Fortuin exactly the same. He's a different animal when he's on the field compared to when he's off the field. He's very calm, collected, very self-confident as well. So they add a certain, I don't know what it is, extra bit of calmness when it comes to the team environment, I think, and also some fun because we know that all three of them are big gamers as well. So that's something that we found out when with interviews and speaking to them off air. We see now how Tabrei Shams, he takes his Call of Duty seriously. We know George takes his FIFA seriously, and Bjorn, doesn't matter what game it is, he comes to the party. So they create a night vibe and they put the performances on the field. So it's the combination of all of them. This gives a good confidence to the team. Um, when you heard him speak about that in the press conference, what were your thoughts on it initially, Aditya?
I love Temba's confidence. The fact that he felt South Africa had the potential to dominate Sri Lanka in their own conditions. And possibly for the first time since South Africa's readmission into international cricket, they have a battery of spinners to choose from. I can't remember South Africa ever having as many spin resources as they do now. So that's credit to all the coaches in the domestic circuit because we're talking about four different spinners, all of whom have a different sort of variety, and all of them can bring that X factor. And at least three of them are handy with the bat as well. So, in subcontinent conditions, they're excellent resources to have. And any wickets they can get in this series will be very helpful for them going into the World Cup in the UAE. Obviously, the main challenge is for the batsmen, and Temba also confirmed early on in the press conference that they had seen footage of the India-Sri Lanka ODI and T20 series, and a lot of the plans were perhaps based on what they witnessed there. But I suppose it would be important to inform our viewers that uh, India versus Sri Lanka is a different dynamic compared to South Africa versus Sri Lanka because Sri Lanka is not the team that it once was. But in saying that, when India plays Sri Lanka, India plays on spinning wickets in India. So, they're a lot more comfortable playing in Sri Lanka. South Africa will have to put in more effort to adapt to those conditions. So it's going to be a significant challenge. Therefore, if South Africa win, you should give the players a lot of credit uh, because it would have taken that much effort for them, And if South Africa don't win, then we have to give Sri Lanka credit as well because,
Mhm.
as Temba said, they're going to be tough in their conditions.
100%. Now, the next part of this is I have to kind of deal with it. So this is not the SJN episode, but this particular part of the press conference was about how what has been said in the SJNs and about the accusations about particularly obviously they never went directly and mentioned Mark Boucher necessarily, but we know that Mark Boucher is one of the people that have been accused in the SJN for certain things that happened in the T dynamic when he was a Proteas player. And as I said earlier on in the intro, we do have a release from Mark Boucher on the website on cricketfanaticsmag.com. You guys can go ahead to cricketfanaticsmag.com. If you don't know how it's spelled and everything, then here it is on the screen. But you can go to cricketfanaticsmag.com and find his statement and apology to the public. His media release has been released, and we put it on the website, so you guys can go in there and see what he had to say. Now, you can't be as a player if you're a player of the Proteas in South Africa, you can't ignore these things. So it's obviously going to affect the team in some sort of way. So Temba Bavuma, as the captain of the Proteas, undoubtedly had to answer the questions, and it is just the way it is because journalists are going to want to know what's going down. So I took a particular clip that I'm going to play for you guys because I think it still is very integral and very important when it comes to the team dynamics, and it's how the SJN hearings and what they've heard there has affected the players. So this is what Temba Bavuma had to
I
say.
think, look, I'd be lying if I said that it didn't have an impact on us as a team. Um, I think, I mean, it's publicly known that members of the team have been named um, in the in the SJN in the testimonies. Um, I mean, our coach Mark Boucher, um, he's addressed us as a team. Speaking to, I guess, the accusations against him, he provided clarity and context, and I think it was more about just keeping the guys within his confidence and comfort. So I mean, as much as we operate as a team and we try to control everything that's within our circle, those type of matters do come within the team, and for us, it's important that we deal with it internally, ask whatever hard questions that we need to ask of each other, to make sure that we can keep growing within the team.
Well, at least I do feel that way. And if what Timber is saying is 100% true, which I think it is that there is an open discussion when it comes to this. So, Aditya, what was your thoughts on what was said about that?
Well, first off, this was the first press conference that a protest player addressed after the SGN hearings had started. So it was almost inevitable that a number of questions would be about um, the statements made during the SGN. So I wasn't surprised to see the number of questions asked. With respect to this one, uh, I thought he addressed it as plainly as simply as he could, and given that members in the national team setup, including Mark Boucher, was named, he clarified the fact that Mark Boucher had sort of addressed the team and um, offered context and clarity. I think those were the two words that he used. Um, so, so I suppose he addressed that, but he was also quite emphatic in his statement that the hard questions will be asked, but that should be internal. They don't want to be airing those discussions in public, which I thought was quite a dignified response from them.
So, guys, yes, we will be doing a full episode on this in the future after we hear, because currently the SJN hearings are still continuing, and obviously the accused will be speaking on their behalf. And a lot of the testimonies have been moved forward. So I mean, moved back, sorry, so that people can have time to prepare. They've asked for extensions. So this week we're going to be hearing quite a few guys come out and speak about it. So after this is all concluded, we will do a full show. We will try to get some guests that have been covering this quite religiously and quite thoroughly, and we'll try to get them on the show so they can give you guys a full understanding of what they think about it, and also unbiased opinions on it, because that's very important that we look at it from an unbiased opinion, and think of everything and look at all the evidence without getting too emotional about it, because as you guys know, I'm a very emotional person and I get riled up very quickly and upset. So I need guys to be my levelers on the show to be able to get an unbiased opinion on it and everything. So guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will see you again tomorrow with another daily show. We are busy prepping for that one, and we're really excited to show you what we come up with. Take care, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your week.